We have a massive Lakers trade update to go over today, and while craziness has broken out surrounding the NBA, we have a big report surrounding Rob Pelinka and what he's planning. We're going to break down exactly who it is and discuss what this means going forward, as well as a few other updates, folks. But before we get to it all, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button. About 90% of you who are watching aren't subscribed. Okechi, some craziness is going on right now, and last night Drew Holiday got traded. There's been a bunch of trades around the NBA, and the draft being tomorrow, there is a lot of craziness happening. And among that is the Lakers being right in the middle of it. They still need a center. There's talks about them trading up for a draft pick. A bunch of things are happening right now. But a new report, there's been some rumblings for a while here, but the Lakers are now officially favorites to land Bam Adebayo from the Miami Heat. And following the Heat failing to land Kevin Durant, the Lakers are plus 190, which is very low, I guess high, very good odds, I'll say, to land Bam Adebayo. And we have some other, rumors, reports floating around about the Lakers' previous interest or interest now, as well as a little mock trade we'll dive into. But Okechi, the Lakers are favorites to land Bam Adebayo, and some fans like it. Some fans really don't. So I'm curious to see what you guys think about in the comment section. One of the most popular quote tweets here was saying, "We're not watching if Rob Pelinka does this because Bam is still owed until 2028, 2029, over $50 million a year." So the cap hit is huge, but at the same time, you are landing a very, very good player. Okechi, what are your thoughts on this? And also let us know down below in the comments because it seems to be pretty, divided here, especially given the fact that the Lakers don't have a center at this point.
I mean, there's a couple of different things here with the Bam Adebayo thing. So first and foremost, let's talk about the player before we get into like the contract stuff. Just as far as a fit, I think he is probably the most versatile defender in the league that we've got here. He hasn't been a defensive player, hasn't won defensive player of the year, but he definitely has been in the running multiple seasons. And he's going to be a guy that also offensively he has improved as well. He's starting to shoot that jumper more often, and he's still a guy that can still get to the rim, catch lobs. Even though he's a bit undersized, he has a lot of strength, and just agility, which really helps him out. So like, yes, Bam Adebayo has been an undersized center, which I think is a big reason why a lot of people are kind of like looking away from a guy like Bam Adebayo. But just the versatility he brings on the floor and just what he can do for you defensively, especially with the Lakers, they were a team that switched a lot. So Bam Adebayo can be very useful in that type of scheme as well. So I think it'd be a good move for the Los Angeles Lakers to go after a guy like Bam Adebayo if they have the right pieces for that.
Yeah, that's obviously going to be the biggest question mark. Bringing up his stats, so you're talking. I mean, he was a Defensive Player of the Year finalist 5 straight seasons, and obviously last year a bit of a down year, I guess, for his, in general, the Heat, the whole Jimmy Butler fiasco, everything was weird.
Yeah.
They were not a great team. They missed out on Kevin Durant. Everyone's upset there. And I think following Pat Riley not trading Haywood Highsmith for Kevin Durant, at least a part of the package, maybe they're just going to fully retool now and trade away a guy like Bam. He would fit perfectly defensively. Again, undersized a little bit, but you could get somebody who's bigger. Even a Jackson Hayes, a backup center to complement, Bam Adebayo could work a little bit, obviously, depending on who else they go after. I love it. Now, the cap hit, good at this point in the the NBA, the way the league is now, everyone gets paid a lot of money. Now, of course, a $60 million player option in 3 years time might hurt a little bit. But again, it is interesting here. And with the Heat failing to land KD and keeping their young pieces plus draft capital, Bam to the Lakers could be a possibility. I think it's actually much more of a possibility than a lot of people thought just in general. And we can kind of get into what the assets would be. But you can see this tweet here I wanted to bring up, and it's intriguing. Why do I have a weird feeling this could happen? Bam was clearly annoyed at his exit interview. And if you were a fan of the Heat or you watched that, he was quite annoyed. Of course, got Jimmy Butler. He, went, of course, to the Warriors, things like that. They didn't get KD now. Okay, so I think there's a real world here where Bam Adebayo, like even Lakers aside, asks out of Miami. And then at that point, we saw kind of how that worked with the Suns and Durant, albeit a very different situation. I think there's a chance he asks out. And if that happens, it makes sense for the Lakers to be favorites because now, to their detriment and to a positive, they are by far the team that needs a center the most. And I think everyone around the league knows that. And that's, of course, why they'll probably have to overpay a little bit if it ends up happening. But I do think there's a chance here that Bam requests a trade, especially following missing out on KD. And now he seemed a little bit unhappy at the exit interviews, if you think back to a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I have a couple of thoughts about this. First and foremost, with the money, I don't think it's going to be that bad because over the next couple of seasons, the NBA has a huge TV deal, so they're moving over to Amazon and then back over to NBC. So they have a huge TV deal. They're going to be getting money left, right, and center. So that I think he gets paid closer to like 50 and then upwards towards even like 60
yeah.
million towards the end of that contract there. So it's not going to seem as much because we're gonna have Luka Doncic on the roster and he's probably going to get paid a lot more money, just based on what the salary constructions is. So money wise, I don't think it is going to be a big issue down the road. It looks like a big number now, but like it's probably going to be better down the road. But just as far as Bam asking out, I'm not too sure. And even if he does ask out, would the Heat even be willing to do something like that? Because you saw how it was with the Jimmy Butler fiasco. Obviously, different situation, different personality.
Yeah.
But Bam Adebayo, even if he were to ask out, the Heat don't have to trade him. So it would probably have to be more like a sort of like a Desmond Bane situation, who was just recently traded. Desmond Bane, who was a good player, who the Memphis Grizzlies thought was going to be a part of their future, but then they had to just move off him, and then now they're moving into a different direction. So it would have to be just a bit of not only Bam asking out, but also the Heat wanting to move off of a guy like Bam Adebayo. But just for the Lakers, yeah, they're going to need a lot of assets because they're going to have to overpay for a guy like Bam Adebayo. They're not going to just want Austin Reaves and Dalton Connect and whatever first rounders we can give them. This might have to take maybe three or even a four-team deal, I think, in my opinion, because they're going to need more assets to trade to the Heat to get a guy like Bam Adebayo.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask you this, and I'm very curious to see what the comment section is going to say about it. There was a trade proposed, fairly recently, and it was what you said with no first round picks involved. But would you be willing to deal Austin Reaves in a deal for Adebayo? Now, I think realistically you would have to. Like, I don't think,
Yeah.
avenue here where the Heat give up Bam Adebayo without Austin Reaves, especially with what Desmond Bane is netting these days for unprotected first and a swap. So this one is Reaves, Vincent, Vanderbilt, Knecht. So for all intents and purposes here, it's basically Reaves, Knecht, and salary filler. If you still value Jared Vanderbilt, you can do that as well. But this one is interesting. And again, this doesn't have a first round pick involved. It's essentially an Austin Reaves for Bam Adebayo swap. And then, of course, I guess the first rounder would be in the form of Dalton Knecht, who was last year's first rounder. Are you comfortable giving up Austin Reaves in a Bam Adebayo trade? And I've been very adamant on the channel. I'm fine trading Austin Reaves in a scenario where you get a very good center back. I'm even probably fine giving up Austin Reaves in a deal for Walker Kessler, but that's a conversation for another day. I know there's some people in the comments section disagree with that. For Bam Adebayo, a more, what you're getting with him compared to every other center on the market. Like, he is by far the most consistent. He has the highest upside, and he's the best defender out of, I guess, if you want to consider Nick Claxton, Walker Kessler, and all those guys, albeit Walker Kessler is an extremely good defender. Bam is versatile. Are you considering getting rid of Austin Reaves? I think you already answered the question, but getting rid of Austin Reaves in a trade
I
for
mean,
Bam?
in a deal for Bam, you would kind of have to, and this also fits the Lakers' constriction of like what they were allowing to trade for Austin Reaves, because they talked about trading for not only just like a one-time All-Star, but a multiple-time All-Star, and that's what Bam Adebayo is. The only thing about it is just I don't think this is enough to get the deal done. Like, honestly speaking, just because there's a lot of other teams that can offer better deals up there. I heard recently that Darius Garland was offering a Kevin Durant
Yeah.
deal. So like, what if they swap that over for Bam Adebayo and swap Jared Allen for that? That's a much better package than what the Lakers can offer. So it's going to take a couple of teams for the Lakers, like a 3 or 4 team trade to like get the assets needed to pry off Bam Adebayo, because they're going to have to take him from the Miami Heat, because the Miami Heat aren't going to be super willing to give him up just because of how long he's signed to the contract. And that gives a lot of teams who want to trade for him a lot of leverage, because if you want to trade for a guy like Bam Adebayo, you can get Bam Adebayo, who's multiple-time All-Star, multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and a guy that is going to be just consistent throughout. So, and you just have him for like 4+ years. So, a lot of teams are going to be not only just the Lakers interested, but just other teams around the NBA as well.
Yeah, I think it's probably not enough. At the same time,
Mhm.
maybe the Lakers throw some swaps in there, like you mentioned, and hope to get it done. Their 2031 first round pick not included in this. How deep, though, do you want to go for Bam Adebayo? Are you confident that he can propel this team forward? We'll have to see. And let us know down below what your thoughts are on this. Things are getting crazy, but the Lakers are favorites here among other teams as well. In case you're interested, again, Spurs make some sense. The Grizzlies, the Kings. So other than that, even the Celtics thrown in there in craziness. But let us know
Yeah.
down below. Do you think the Lakers are going to be able to do it? And do you think this package is enough? You guys are fantastic. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.